Playing by ear, is it simply something you're born with? Can it be developed? I was born with it, but I believe that you can learn how to do it. Today I'm going to break it down for you. Whenever I hear musicians asking for tips on how to memorize music, I think, why memorize it? What if you could simply hear it instead? I mean, did you ever memorize Happy Birthday? No. But you can hear it in the jukebox of your head, right? So this usually leads the conversation to the idea of playing by ear. And it is often assumed that we're talking about having perfect pitch. I was born with the ability to play anything that I hear in my head, but I do not have perfect pitch. What I do have is something called relative pitch. What is relative pitch? Relative pitch is the ability to hear the spaces between notes. I jokingly sometimes call this perfect interval, but I also have an analytical mindset of a teacher. I'm good at breaking things down to explain them to people. So I've asked myself, Greg, what does your mind do when you're playing by ear? I think I've narrowed it down to 3 steps that I want to share with you. But first, let me give you a little personal background. So when I was a little kid, my mom and dad had an upright piano in our living room. And like little kids tend to do, I was probably around 6 years old, and we'd come over to the piano keyboard, and you just want to bang away at the keyboard. Of course, that's pretty annoying, and Mom quickly taught us not to do that. I even wondered if that is part of the catalyst for the discovery that I made. One day, I sat down at the piano keyboard, and I had a eureka moment. I discovered that these notes are ordered sequentially. As you go to the right, the pitches go up. As you go to the left, the pitches go down. That was a eureka moment for me. It was an epiphany. The notes are ordered. See, prior to my discovery of this, those notes were laid out mysteriously, and I couldn't make sense of it at all. But that order is how my mind thinks, and how I would say every musician's mind hopefully should think about music itself. You have a melody, you have chord progressions, and they go up and they go down. And that looks a certain way on your instrument. On the piano keyboard, it's right and left. And really on a guitar fretboard, you go up by going towards yourself, right? Towards the body, and down by going towards the headstock. It's a little more complicated than that because a string changes, but you get the idea. So once I made this discovery, well, first of all, at 7 years old, I was no genius, okay? So I couldn't articulate it. I couldn't just go, hey, Mom and Dad, I've had an epiphany. I've discovered that the notes on the keyboard are sequential. They're ordered, and they're linear. They're laid out in a linear fashion. As you go right, you go up. As you go left, you go down. And the bigger the jumps, the wider the interval. I couldn't articulate that. But what they couldn't hear me articulate verbally, they could hear me speak with my fingers. They heard stuff like this. And they started to hear melodies from TV shows that I was watching. Missed it a little bit there. But they started hearing these melodies just come out of my head and onto that keyboard. And they're wondering who's teaching the kid this. Nobody's teaching him that. So they quickly got me piano lessons, and that started my journey as a musician. So what I'm going to do is play us a melody, and we're going to try to see if we could figure out the melody by ear. I'm going to basically try to take you through 3 steps that I believe my mind does just really fast. And while you might not be able to do it fast in the beginning, my hope is that as I break this down and analyze it for you, and that you understand and then practice this, you'll be able to develop some speed and eventually be able to develop an ear as if you were born with it. So let's, I'll be interested, by the way, in seeing your comments to see what your successes are on this. So, and by the way, if you like the content on this channel, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So the example I'm going to use is the Star Spangled Banner. And yeah, this melody, this song has come up now twice in my series already. I'm just going to play a portion of it. We're going to try to decipher the melody of this. So what's the key? That's step 1. What key am I in? What I'm hoping that you can already do is you can hear the tonic. I'm going to sing the tonic, and I want to see if you can hear it. It is la. So it's the key of E. Okay. Could you hear that? Could you sing that tonic? If you can't, well, that's okay. That's what I'm here for, to help you even to get through this first step. So the tonic is the note everything revolves around and resolves to. You could think of the tonic as the sun in the solar system, and all the other notes in the song would be the planets and the revolving around it. So they revolve around this note, and every time things come to that note, the song lands like an airplane. It comes to a rest. So it's the note that you resolve things to. If it's a chord, it's the chord that everything ends on. If you want to end the song resolved, sometimes we don't end songs in a resolved way. We want to end it hanging. And by the way, the most common chord that's done on in major keys is the 4 chord, but it can be done on the 5 chord as well and other chords. But that's the idea, is we're trying to find the one, to keep it simple, the tonic, what key we're in. Now, if you weren't able to hear that note and sing it like I just did, then what we can do is do some trial and error. And what I'm going to do is just start moving up the fretboard. Now, it was on E, so if you started on the lowest note, you have found it the first time. So I'm not going to start it on the lowest note, just to keep things a little more interesting. I'll probably start like on B, and then we'll move until we find the note. But what I'm going to do is I've got that melody in a looper. I'm going to repeat the loop back over and over, and I'm going to keep playing each one of these notes. I could potentially go through 12 notes because there's 12 notes in the chromatic scale. And if I start on B and move down, I'm not going to have to go through 12, but we're going to keep going until we hear a note, the note that sounds like it's resolved, that everything revolves around it. And a tonic is usually the note that you could drone all the way through the song, and it would work. So it's usually a note that you'll hear bagpipes use. Bagpipers will have a solid note droning, and that's going to be the tonic, is the key you're in. So let me get the looper going, and let me show you how I would do this if I didn't know what key we were in. Now that B sounds pretty good on it, but it's not at rest. So let's keep trying. I'm going to go down. No, let's try A. Sounds pretty good, but it's not it. G sharp sounds really good, but that's because we're in the key of E. G does not, because we're not in the key of E minor. That G would work in a key of E minor. No. Let's try F. Definitely not. You hear that? Let me play it an octave up so you can hear it. Because we could have done this in a high, it might have been easier for some of you if you were doing it in a higher range, okay? So if you'd have been like, no, that works. That's not it. That's a harmony. It's a G sharp. You'd keep doing this until you got down to definitely not. There it is. So how did you do? Were you able to identify the tonic, that one note that everything revolves around and resolves to, that one note everything lands on? That's the key that we're in, okay? I'm trying to keep it simple. When you get into modes, this gets a little confusing, but just keeping it simple, you know, that first note of the scale is going to be the note that everything lands on. So that's step number one. Okay, for step number two, we would need to determine, is the song in a major key or is it in a minor key? So we know it's in a key of E, and if you know your E major and E minor scales, you would simply play, you only need to play the first three notes of those E major or E minor scales and compare it to the song. Is it, which would be major, or that'd be minor. So does it have a G natural in the song or a G sharp? Because that is the only difference between E minor and E major for the first three notes of the scale. So does it have a minor third or a major third? It's a major third, and that's a minor third. So let me do that. Let me do those two scales, just having to do three notes of them, building on E while that melody is playing. So we can determine, is it major or is it minor? Let's try minor first. No, it's gotta be major. Hear it? We play them both together. Hear it? So now we not only know it's in the key of E, but we also know that it's in the key of E major, because it could have been in the key of E minor. So that's important information that we have. Step three is going to be that we are going to use that E major scale, since that's what key it's in, to find every target note. There's only 7 notes of our major scale. It's got to be one of those 7. See, there's 12 notes in music. So if we didn't know what key we were in, we'd have to go through all 12 notes like we did to find the tonic, right? But now we can just go through 7 notes. We've eliminated 5 in order to find what the melody note is. So that first note is La. I'm just going to sing it for you, okay? So I need to find that note. So I'll start on E, and I'm going to compare my guitar note to the note I'm singing. And let's see if I'm hitting it. La. Now I'm singing it. This note might be in your head. You don't have to necessarily sing it. You got to be able to hear it, whether it's hear it up here or hear it on a recording, and or sing it like I'm doing. So La. Is my note higher or lower than my target note? It's not the note, because La is my target note. The note I'm playing is La. Hope you hear that. So you should hear that the note I'm playing is lower than my target note. So I need to go up the scale. So let me try the next note, which would be F sharp. La. That's not the note either. Hopefully you can hear that's still underneath the target note. So let's go up to the next note. La. that's not it. It's still underneath it. So let's keep going. La. No, let's go again. La. That's it. That's the note. La, which is a B. Okay? So I found the first note. So my first note's a B. I'm going to play it there, but I could have played it, there's more than one place for the same pitch on the guitar, right? So my first note's the B. The next note, la, la. I just gave it away. I was going to ask, does it go up or down? Well, it goes down. You can hopefully hear that it goes down. So my next note's got to be, I got to start from that B note, just drop back the scale until you find the second note, which is la. That's the note, G sharp. Now I found the second note. So I found the first two notes of the song. Okay? You might say, man, this is laborious. This is because I'm slowing down and explaining to you what I believe that my mind does at fast speed, okay? My wife laughs at me. She's a musician too, and she's got a pretty good ear herself, but she doesn't quite have the relative pitch thing, but she will laugh at me playfully when I'm in the living room practicing guitar and a commercial comes on and I'll start playing along. And she's like, you little devil, because, that's me being able to do that fast. I can hear the key and I can pick up on what key I'm in and I can start playing along with it. But I think if it's been explained analytically like I'm doing now, and if you will have the patience and discipline to do these things and, slowly and repetitively, I think just like you go to the gym, it takes discipline and repetition, but over time you build up your muscles and you become strong, right? I think over time you'll build up the speed, just like if you want to become a faster guitarist. And eventually you could get to the point where you could do it as fast as I would do it. So let me know what you think of this video. I would love to see what your comments are in terms of your progress. And I had people on the forum asking me to, after I explain this in the forum, to please do a video on it. So I think it's an important subject and I've been meaning to do it. So I hope you get something out of it. Please, again, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've got more video content coming up. My video on arpeggios has been probably the most downloaded video I've ever done. So I'm going to do a follow-up on it because, for one thing, I forgot to do major sevens. I did dominant sevens and I did, of course, triads, but I also want to get into like augmented, diminished arpeggios, and I've got a third idea for arps where we get into some string skipping and tapping and some alternative fingerings, and from there, who knows where we'll go to. I always say lead guitar scales, intervals, and arpeggios, so I'm going to cover intervals at some point too. I hope you've been tracking along and already been subscribed and having fun. So until next time.